Okay, so I have to admit, I have gone fully down the plotter rabbit hole. So today, I'm adding to my plotter collection a Mini 5, which I plan to use as a wallet. I believe I mentioned that this could be a possibility in one of the past videos, and after seeing someone in my local pen club who's using a Mini 5 as a wallet and how nice it seems to work, I just gave in. I knew it was an eventuality, so here we go. I find myself today opening up a box from Plotter USA. I did get this directly from Plotter because they had a different cover that other resellers did not have that I liked the look of. So let's get this open up here. And I do like when you order from Plotter that they include this little plotter paper, which is just a nice little touch. Let's get the packing material out here. Okay, so we've got that. So it looks like it is all bundled up together. Okay, so we've got, like I mentioned, the nice plotter paper, good presentation, which that's something that I appreciate. Most all these stationery businesses do a nice job of packing up your order, so it's a luxury, but it's nice to have it properly packed. Just a little thing to add to it. So let's get this bubble wrap off here. This is the actual plotter itself. I can tell from the box. And then this other is going to be all the accessory items that I ordered for going inside of the plotter to make this wallet a reality. So to start, let's kind of go through the accessories. I got and I'll put them over here as I do it, the leather double card case, so this will hold credit cards, IDs, and things like that. I got some 2mm grid paper to have some general notebook paper in there. I also picked up a thing of the to-do list paper. I like to keep to-do lists in my Bible size, but I figure if I'm going to have this as a wallet, having last-minute packing lists and things like that would be handy in a wallet. I've got the pen holder / lifting board. I did get the little ring supporter because this being in a pocket will definitely do more of the rings where they push against the cover. I got the banded lifter to be able to hold it closed and also just act as another nice writing surface. And then I picked up the double zippered fastener case, so it's got the front and back zippered pockets for holding change. Not that I'm probably going to put change in there, but I do plan, depending on the pins that I'll show later in this video, possibly keeping an extra cartridge in there just for future use. So let me get all this unpacked out of the saran wrap, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I have all that opened up, let's get to the actual opening up of the plotter itself. So start with the box. You've got a little sheet that kind of talks about plotter's history, the logo, how it's embossed in there, some little silica packet. And you've got let's see, get all this out of here. So just to kind of go through the paperwork, this says the model number, the color, the different tools, and the description of plotter itself, that it's made in Japan. Talks about the materials, and I do like that all of these have the Japanese on one side and English on the other, because obviously I do not read Japanese, although that would be a cool thing to learn. And then you've got the binder bracket warranty and whatnot, and most all this information is available on the Plotter website as well, but it's nice to have it in the box when you get it. Let's get the box set aside here, and then all the plotters that I've gotten so far, they come in this little sleeve, which is nice, because this is kind of that nice thin material that could have a secondary use. I have not found one yet, but it's not saying it's impossible. Okay, so here we go. I got the blue, and this is the bridal leather. And get this over here. So it's a real subtle blue, and I think this is going to patina really well. And it's a different color than what I have. I have the black Bible size, I have the Shiranami A5, and then also the green Horsehide A5. So this is a different leather combination, and I thought the blue would be, just a nice little pop of color. Also, as I mentioned in the previous plotter video, I don't really care for the back bar being gold, so this one did have the silver bar, so that also factored into my decision. So take out the little cards that kind of come in the slot. So here we have, and this is the 5 ring. So if you think in terms of, size, this is a credit card size. This is a dot contact card, which I'll put a link to these as well if you haven't seen them. They're pretty neat where you can have all your contact information on here. And it has either a QR code or it has an NFC chip, so you can just hold it up to someone's phone and they can pull down your contact info or direct them to a website. Pretty neat, just as a little side note. But you can see in terms of this, a card's going to fit in there well. And compared to my existing wallet, which I've already taken stuff out to be able to show in this video, this is not going to be thicker. I think it's actually going to end up being a little bit thinner than my wallet I had been using, especially since my current wallet had an AirTag in it, so that added to the bulk. So this will actually slim down once I get it all configured. So let's get started with the basics here. And the first thing will be the little ring protector. And if you've noticed, I've checked the rings a couple times because when I got my first Shiranami, the ring mechanism had malfunctioned. So luckily that's one I'd ordered through Dromgools, and they were able to get it swapped out for a new one pretty much immediately. So just trying to make sure that my rings are good before I get too far in this time around. So we'll start with the ring holder, and then the next one that goes in is the little pocket pouch thing. And these, you leave the rings closed, and as you can see, you just slide them down over. So when you have that in there, it's going to hold, and those will be in the front and the back. And now we get into where we decide what order we want things to go in. So I think I'm going to end up with paper in the back. And I've been in debate, just as waiting for this to come, of whether or not I want to put the pin loop in the back or the loop lifter in the back. And I'm thinking I'm going to put the pin loop in the front. So if I am writing in here, which it's not going to be heavy writing, but I think I'd rather have this pin loop on this side so that it's a flatter surface in the back. So let's go ahead and put this in the very back. And then, I'm just going to grab a couple of sheets for now. And if you're not familiar with how Plotter does their paper, they all come in these bound little notebooks, and they're just meant for you to rip out sheets. So I'll rip out, a few here of the dot grid, and I'll probably add some more paper once I kind of figure out the thickness of the wallet. Grab a couple of these little to-do sheets as well, and you can see the formatting there. We can have basic list with a checkbox or whatnot. So as a natural list maker, that's going to be nice. Like I mentioned, for trips and packing, I normally have electronic lists that I'll make in advance, but then for the last minute things, like for the morning of, before leaving on a trip, I almost always write that down on paper just to not have to rely on an electronic list in that morning when trying to get everything ready to go out the door. So let me get all these pages ordered up here. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to put the blank pages in the back. And this paper does also come in, I think it was the 5mm dot grid. I didn't order that because, like I said, this is going to be a lighter use writing scenario. It's kind of like the, in case of emergency, break out the pocket notebook type scenario. But I did want to have, I really like the 2mm grid, so I think that's going to be a good combination for me. So then let's put the pin loop holder in the front. And then with the dual wallet slot, I don't carry a ton of cards, but I think I'm going to end up scaling back what I keep in my wallet. Just throw a couple of these in here. So between ID and whatnot, and I'm going to see if my ID will fit in the little zippered part in the front as well. So let me try that real quick before I put the rings in. Because then it's, some places you just have to show that you have the ID. You don't necessarily have to take it out. And it doesn't look like that's really going to slide in there. I could probably force it with the angle, but looks like it'll be going in the card holder. And there is also a single card holder, which I might pick up as well. Because if there's somewhere where I need to have a really slim wallet, this itself acts as a nice little pocket wallet on its own. So I might be able to get away with just taking out the wallet and carrying it. But, you know, looking at how this is going here, and I know I'm showing that a little bit off camera, I think that's not going to be terrible for fitting. That's everything that I had in my wallet, minus my emergency $20 and then my little key fob card that's not on a key ring. So I think I'm going to be good with that. And actually, these should fit in there. So I'll pop those in just to leave that in there. And I am putting that in the front because, once again, if I am writing in here, I want the back to be a nice, more easily writable surface. And as you can see, when pushing the cards in, the rings still have room to fit in there. So, you know, first impression, looking at this, and let me get it with the up here, I am going to have to take some of those cards out, which I knew going into this was a realistic possibility. And I was even looking at that before I started filming to go, okay, which of these do I not actually ever run through a machine between electronic payment from a phone or things like that? So let me just grab a few of these out for now to kind of make this more realistic. And I can already tell this card holder is going to take some breaking in, because as of right now, once you cram all the cards in there, getting them back out is not the easiest ask. So I'll pull a few of these out. Put ID back in there because that's an important one. And then put my dot card back in. Okay, so let's get that back in there, and that should be more realistic until I get a chance to kind of go through these as I adapt to this wallet offline. So with that closed and then putting the loop on, this is still going to be smaller than my previous wallet in terms of thickness, and it's going to be more versatile. Do a side view there. And I know that does look thick, but as this as this leather wears in and adapts, it's gonna, conform and kind of compress down up to where the rings are, but I think it'll be fine. So the next part to contend with here is this pin loop. And in watching tons of videos online and talking to local pin club friend and seeing what my options are, I've come up with 3 to start. So let's get these all lined up here. And actually I'll put them over so I can show on the side camera and kind of talk through them. To start out, so we have a Kaweco Lilliput, and I got the brass one, and then I have the bronze clip on it. And currently in here for an ink cartridge, I have some Diamine Purple Dream. I got the Antique mini ballpoint pen from Gentleman Stationer, and you've seen the Antique on the channel before. It's a low viscosity ink, Japanese ink, and really great writer. So that is definitely going to be a contender. And then I picked this up. This is what Nick has in his, local pen club friend. He has the Penco kind of engineering, and it's a needlepoint ballpoint. And I like the look of that. So I figure for starting out, I'm going to rotate through the 3 of these, because while I like, obviously, using fountain pens, they're not always the right tool. So this will give me some flexibility. I have a feeling there's a chance, though, that this Antique might end up being the winner, just, initial first impression, because cost to, if you factor in cost, this is obviously the least expensive of all of them. Writes really well, and the only question is durability. With this being in a pocket, these being metal are going to be more durable than the plastic, so that'll be the thing to determine over time. Now, there is a brass version of the Antique where the main body is brass, so that's something to look at in the future. But in terms of putting them in the pin loops here, all of these will fit, and this pin loop is going to stretch, and you can see that first time putting the pin in, since I just unboxed it, it's a little snug. The Lilliput actually slides in, a little bit better because of the perfectly round shape, where this has a little bit of a squared. Let me see if I can show that there. Yeah, you can see it's a little bit of a squared taper as it goes in, so it's smaller at the top, a little bit bigger body, so you can hold it. But so the Lilliput fits in there well. And then I believe the Pinco, it's going to require it to stretch out a little because, like I was just talking about with the shape, this is octagonal, or is it yeah. So that'll fit in there as well. So once the pin loop stretches, I'm going to have some options to play with there. But that's going to be part of, learning and adapting to this. Like, for starting out, I think I'm going to start with the Lilliput because it fits better now, and that'll help stretch that leather and get it broken in so that when you're switching out to these other pins, because even here you can see how tight the clip is, it's, you're having to kind of work to get that in there. But this pin is not going to be used all that often. It's kind of, to have a pin with the notebook. I'm still probably going to have another pin in my pocket. I've been carrying around my Gravitas Sentry as kind of my pocket pin since I got it. And, I'm more likely, if I have a decent amount of writing, going to pull this out of the pocket versus the little pin here. But I want to have a pin to go along with the notebook where, if I have to go in complete minimal mode, I still have the ability to write something down. So I'll look forward to seeing how this further diving into the plotter world goes. Because if you haven't seen the previous videos, I'll definitely put links to them there. I now have the assortment of sizes going, and I don't foresee getting a narrow in the future. I don't think I have a need for that since I have the Bible size, which is the same ring spacing. It's just a little bit shorter. And this is a size that I've carried for many years when I had a Filofax and now the plotter cover. So I'm very happy with that. And just to kind of show here, I really love on this Shiranami and the side camera will show it well, how it's already starting to get this nice patina coming in along the back where, where you hold it, your hand oils get on there. So you can see where hands definitely go. You got the nice little arc of patina. And the Bible one is getting a different type of patina. And let me see, hold it over here. You can see in some spots it's kind of starting to get shiny just from moisture and, once again, hand oils and things like that. Now, the horsehide, it has spent most of its life in my rickshaw because it's ink swatchings. So, different inks on different papers, which I'll put a link to the live stream when I was first setting this up. It has the on-demand version. So I have 6 different papers with the same inks. So I can easily show a side-by-side comparison of, oh, this is this ink on Nemesine. This is it on Tomoe River 52. This is it on Life Bank, or this is it on Irreful. Just to be able to show a side-by-side comparison of colors, which is really nice. And, swatching inks and talking to people at pen gatherings or meetups if they're asking paper questions. And also it's a great reference for me. So I know, okay, I'm going to start using this paper for this purpose. What's the ink going to look like when it's all said and done? So I can make sure I choose an ink that's going to work appropriately. So I'm glad to add the Mini 5 in. I look forward to carrying this around. This is day 1. And I'll do a follow-up probably in a few weeks just to say how it's going, see how this is adapted. And, if I end up changing pins, end up changing out the card wallet, the amount of cards I can carry, the papers that I have in there. Because I did just notice Vanessa recently picked up Bible size Irreful and Mini 5 size Irreful. So I'm definitely going to get some of each of those next time I place an order with Vanessa, just to have that paper option for these covers where I don't have to mess with punching or anything or cutting the paper down to size. So I'll put a link to those as well in the video description in case you are a plotter user or a Filofax personal size or just the kind of generic, 6-ring Bible size. Ray May, there's a couple other makers as well. The the ones from Korea, I'm blanking on the name. I'll put those down as well. But having other paper options besides the plotter, now don't get me wrong, the plotter paper has actually performed really well, and that's one of the papers I have in my testing. But having Aerofil, which shows color differently depending on how you're using your plotters or your planners or your covers, it's always nice to have more options. So I am curious though, I'd love to know if you're using any of plotters or any of these kind of small ring notebooks as wallets. Now, for men, if you're carrying in your pocket, this is about as big as you could really go before it would get cumbersome. But if you're carrying around a sling bag or you're carrying around a purse, you might be able to get away with a narrow or a Bible size kind of as your wallet using the similar accessories in a larger size. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you're using. I love learning and seeing other people's setups, kind of like the behind the scenes. That's always intriguing, and it might give me ideas on how I want to adapt my system going forward. And also, I wanted to ask once again and say thanks for anybody who's subscribed recently. I do have that goal set to reach 1,000 by the end of the year, and I'm actually at 901 as of filming this video, so I've got 99 left to meet my goal. So if you wouldn't mind clicking on subscribe and leaving a like on this video, that would really help out the channel, as I really enjoy making these videos. So with that being said, until next time, thanks for watching.